Welcome back to Real Estate 360 Live with Ryan Sloper.
Welcome back, guys. If you guys have any questions regarding anything we covered today, the off-air phone number is 877-245-2030. That's 877-245-2030. Before we went to break, Lewis was breaking down, in his survey that's yet to be released, a preview of it, that consumer sentiment, it seems that they were the most happy of buying a foreclosure, which would indicate that they were happy that they got a bargain or a deal. And I think that's interesting, Lewis, because I would say predominantly the majority of people that I talk to are having the same exact feeling. It's like, do you have any foreclosures that I can look at?
Oh, and by the way, short sales are even more satisfying.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially considering the long wait periods that you have to find out if the short sale is even going to go through, that's astounding to me.
Well, maybe it is. I think that's worth the wait, I suppose, once they get the home.
Right, correct. And that leads me to, I think that what's going to happen in 2012, like we have these foreclosure numbers that I just read off a second ago, which said how many foreclosures were supposed to be released to the market, and they probably will or won't be. Who really knows? But I think that, a lot of those statistics are based upon foreclosure filings, okay? Now, I really don't think that a large majority of those foreclosure filings are actually going to end up in successful short sales, okay? I don't know how they actually monitor the numbers of, foreclosure filings that actually convert into short sales, because, they could file and at the same time the bank could still be working out trying to do a short sale with the seller, right? So I think a very large portion of the sales in 2012 are actually going to be those potential foreclosures that don't actually go through, but they actually sell as a short sale. Lenders, believe it or not, I don't want to say this, they're getting a little bit more smart about what they're doing, where they're the short sale process is becoming a little bit more streamlined. Wait times are not near as long as they were when short sales, were just kind of coming about and becoming more mainstream. It seems like a lot of banks are really getting an answer back within like 90 days, which is great because
short sale makes so much more sense than foreclosure.
Absolutely. For the seller, for the bank, for everybody, it makes complete sense. And I really think that short sales for 2012, that number of successful short sales is going to be astronomical, which is a good thing, by the way.
Well, the reason they go into foreclosures, I believe a lot of the banks are permitted to hold on to their the market value if they haven't gone to a short sale. So their assets, in other words, if they can keep and not do a short sale, and they can keep the unperforming loan on the books, I believe the accounting rules allow them to mark that asset as if they're going to get paid.
Right.
And therefore, that makes their balance sheet look better, makes it look like they have more assets. But in general, the reality is they're never going to get that money, so they might as well go and without going through the foreclosure process, work something out, which is what anyone would do if they had a bad loan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Work something out, and you get what you can get for it and move on.
Yeah, I mean, it makes the most amount of sense to do that. And like I said, the only problem with them working out something is that, they want to base it off of what you're doing currently, like what's your employment status now. Like, it's not what your employment status was when you took out the loan. Well,
yeah, but if they weren't, it really should be irrelevant to the bank if they didn't have the ability to say they can keep the asset on their balance sheet. They just need to get paid whatever they can.
I agree. I totally agree with you.
But I guess they don't feel they do need to get paid whatever they can because of this accounting rule.
Exactly. Yeah, and not to mention that they have, with the way the mortgage-backed securities are securitized and these trusts, and then they have to it's not just getting, a company to sign off. It's like, thousands of investors that are all tied up into those securities.
In a normal market, and if somebody couldn't pay, they'd work something out, and all this would have been worked out years ago.
Absolutely. Yep. Now, this kind of brings us to the last talking point, and this is kind of an easy prediction, is will there be more government programs in 2012 that are going to try and fix the housing problem?
Of course they will be.
Of course. Yeah, that's an easy one, right?
We see one every couple of months, and then you don't hear anything about it anymore because it was unsuccessful. But it doesn't stop them from trying. And the government is so involved in the housing market, they can't help but put their hand in it again. I don't know what they're going to come up with next.
Well, it was interesting because, at the end of last year, I was discussing, the new revised HARP 2 program. which is a terrific example of government programs here, where it was giving underwater homeowners the ability to refinance no matter how extreme their underwater situation was, where they basically eliminated the loan to value. So, like if you were underwater by $200,000 or $50,000, it doesn't matter anymore. But the big problem is that most people, or a lot of people, don't have loans that are owned by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. So what about all those people? They're just left out to dry. And that's exactly what's going on. Those people can't be helped. I must take probably 15 to 20 calls a week from these people that are like, you can't do anything for me? Well, I heard the HARP 2 program's out there. And I'm like, yeah, that program's out there. I said, what we'll have to do is we'll have to, let's go online, check and see if your loan is owned by Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. And once we establish that it's not, we're dead in the water. So then their next question is, Ryan, what do I do? Well, you can try to get your loan modified by the bank, but chances are that's not going to happen. You have to have some sort of hardship income-wise, and you have to still be happy. You still have to have a job. If you're out of a job, they're not going to modify your loan.
Well, what's interesting is if you can't get a loan mod, then aren't you on the path towards short sale, which they'll blow past that, and then you're going to foreclose.
Absolutely. And
so the bank really, even before they get the short sale, should be willing to enter into loan modification.
They are. It's just the process to get a loan mod is ridiculous. They make it so arduous and ridiculous.
Well, then they're not really interested in
they're really not. They're really not. And I think what they're really more interested in, Lewis, is just finding out what the situation is.
But again, it's probably the same thing under the accounting rules. They can count that as a loan that they have that's going to perform.
Yeah, but I'm advising people now that if they're in one of these stressful situations where they're upside down and they don't have as much money to make their mortgage payments and be able to pay for food and gas and all the other necessary items, that you need to be forward thinking. Don't wait for everything to come to a head a month before you're going to run out of money. Think ahead, because a lot of the times you can show hardship. There's going to be, an upcoming or a pending hardship down the road. You can get those short sales through.
You're right, but if you hear, and you mentioned one of them today, a lot of people are aware of the homeowner who has a mortgage who just doesn't pay it.
Right.
And I think that's what a lot of people are doing, is they're thinking ahead and they're thinking, I don't have any money. I have money for food and entertainment, so I'll spend it on that, and I'm not going to pay my mortgage.
Yeah. Well, that's about it's. You say that, but then we also have the banks, right? That there's a borrower that does see the stress situation coming, and he tries to be proactive with the bank, and then the bank says, "Oh, well, you know what? We can't start negotiating your short sale until you miss a payment." Well, okay.
That's an incentive to start missing payments, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and they don't ever really come right out and say that, but that's kind of what they insinuate. Hey, we can't send you the short sale package until you're 45 days behind on your mortgage.
It's almost as if the banks aren't interested in the real money; they're interested in what they can put in their accounts.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, it's.
Because if it was you or I, if someone owed us money, we wouldn't tell them, well, just don't pay us, and if you don't pay us, and then maybe we'll ask for it.
Yeah.
You try to figure out how you can get paid right away as much as you can.
There's absolutely no logic. I mean, for the most part, I mean, like we said, short sales are a win-win situation for both the bank and the borrower.
And probably so are loan modifications in most instances.
Yeah, and I would say that, the best thing that if the government did want to create a program, then they need to backstop it at all mortgages and not just make it Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. I mean,
but they don't have the power to do that.
They don't have the power to do that, but ultimately the Fed could come in and work up some crazy deal, and
probably not a good idea.
Probably not a good idea. But here's the thing: this creates the resentment from homeowners that they're bailing out 2.5 million people that have Fannie or Freddie, but they don't want to help me.
Yeah, well, the better answer is they shouldn't be bailing out anyone.
Exactly, but since they are, everybody feels like they're entitled now.
Well, that's the problem. Once you bail out, that's the whole problem with any bailout or subsidy is why does the ethanol industry get it and the solar industry not get it, or vice versa? Why does this person get a bailout and I don't? Why does this bank get it and the other bank didn't?
And that's exactly why I can see this.
That's the argument not to do them.
Right, but I think that this vicious cycle will continue. Just because of these type of programs. You know what I mean? You get people that get upset, and then if interest rates start to go back up, we know right now 1 in 3 people are underwater. That trend's going to continue. People are eventually going to get tired. Well, you know what? So-and-so neighbor up the street did this. I'm going to do it too.
Well, but Ryan, you hit the nail on the head with once government gets involved and makes an intervention, then you get a cry for somebody else to say, well, you have to intervene on my behalf too. And next thing you know, they're intervening on just about everyone's behalf.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're coming to a close here, Lewis, but the best thing for anybody, if you're in any type of distressed situation and you just want some advice or just somebody to talk to, lead you in the right direction to figure out if you even qualify for a loan mod, short sale, refinance, reach out to us at 877-245-2030. That's 877-245-2030. And Lewis, where can they go if they want to start their home search and find an agent?
Best place to go, and I'm very biased, is to homegain.com. You can get the value of your home instantly. You can search homes for sale, and you can also anonymously compare and contrast realtors and their qualifications and select one only when you're ready. So homegain.com, the place to go. There's also going to be some good surveys coming out during the year, our home value survey, our home improvement survey, and our home ownership satisfaction survey coming up in just about a week. Homegain.com.
Great, Lewis. Thanks.